Hey, shalom, shalom, mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. I'm your host, Rabbi Yehuda ben Shomer, and today I want to talk to you about just one mystery regarding the issue of the red heifer. The red heifer has mystified rabbis and sages of blessed memory for as long as it could be remembered. It is even said that Solomon, though he be the wisest man that had ever lived, that God anointed him and bestowed upon him a greater measure of wisdom than any man has ever had, could not even fully grasp or comprehend or wrap his mind around the regulations and the principles and the rituals regarding the ashes of the red heifer. Now, the red heifer, we read about this in Bamidbar in Numbers chapter 19 in the Torah portion called Hukat, which means regulation. Now, the plural form is Hukim, which is regulations. And Hukim in Hebrew specifically is in regards to the mitzvot, or to the commandments, the Torah laws that God has given to us that defy logic. In other words, Hashem says do this, but he doesn't give us the reason why we are to do this. A perfect example of a daily mitzvot that we follow as Jews that defies explanation and logic is the laws of kashrut. He tells us not to eat pork. He tells us not to eat shellfish. He even tells us what animals are clean and unclean. He gives us clues on how to differentiate what animals are good to eat and what animals are not. But he never totally gives us the reason why we are not to eat them. He just says, don't eat them because I told you to. The commandments regarding shatnez, the mixture, the wearing of clothing that is mixed with wool and linen together, is prohibited for us to wear. Why? What's so wrong about wearing wool and linen as a mixed garment together? We don't know. Hashem gave us these regulations, gave us these commandments, but he didn't give us the reason why. And it's likened unto a father who calls his child to him and says, son, I want you to go do this or that. And the child goes, but why, Daddy? And the father responds, because I said so. But why, Daddy? Because I said so. Now go on and do as I ask, please. Now, that explanation, though it does not satisfy the child nevertheless has to come to grips, come to terms with, hey, Dad told me to do this. He told me because he said so, and I must do it. He can't question why further because the father's not giving the explanation why. And there's reasons. For instance, I as a parent, sometimes I tell my daughter to do something, and I don't give her the explanation why, I just say do it. And when she asks why, I said because I said so. Well, that doesn't seem to be a good enough answer for her, but I said just because I said so. Because Hashem, he is my God, and he tells me what to do, I do what he says, and he has put me in charge over you, so you have to do as I say. So if you obey me, it's as if you are obeying God. And sometimes God gives us commands and gives us things to do, but he doesn't give us the explanation why. And as a father, sometimes I do the same thing. Now, why as a father do I do this? Because I realize that the explanation that I give to my daughter will not satisfy her anyway, because she is too young to comprehend fully the reasons why I want her to do a particular thing. If I give her the explanation why, the full form of this is why you have to do this, and walk through all the steps and all the reasons and all the logic, what's going to be her next question? But why? She's still not going to fully understand it or comprehend it, and why is going to be the next question every time. So to save time, to save trouble, to save heartache, I just say, do it because I said so. So Adonai is infinite in his knowledge and in his wisdom, and sometimes he gives us commands to do, and the only reason or explanation he gives us is because I said so. Why? Because we're finite human beings, fallen creations that fully can't comprehend at times the will of Hashem, and he knows if he explains it to us anyway, we still won't get it. So just to save time, trouble, and heartache, he says, do it because I said so. So the ashes of the red heifer are one of these commandments and rituals and regulations in Judaism that defies logic. It has no logical explanation. And if you read Numbers chapter 19, you'll understand that one of the mysteries lies in the fact that, okay, they're supposed to take this perfectly red heifer with no spot or blemish or white hair on it whatsoever to burn it as a burnt offering, reduce it to ashes, mix the ashes with water and with other things, and it creates this cleansing concoction that if anybody is unclean, that they'll be sprinkled with the ashes of the red heifer, and automatically they'll become clean again. But here's the mystery. The person that's clean, that's sprinkling the unclean person, in the process of sprinkling this unclean person and making this unclean person clean, he himself becomes contaminated. He himself becomes unclean. So the mystery is that if you're unclean, the ashes of the red heifer will make you clean. But if you're clean, the ashes of the red heifer will make you unclean. This is a mystery. How is this possible? How can you explain it? I would like to explain it this way. For instance, let's not look at this in regards to the issue of clean and unclean. Let's look at it as an issue of being sick and being well. Now, if you're sick, the doctor's going to prescribe you medicine. He's going to give you medicine to take. And when you're sick, you take the medication, you will be well. But what happens if a person is well and they take the medicine anyway? If you're well and you take the medicine, depending on what that medicine is, guess what? That medicine's not going to make you even better. The medicine's going to make you sick. Why? Because your body doesn't need it. Because you're already healed. You're already well. You're already whole. You're not sick, so you don't need the medicine. So if you take the medicine, it's going to make you sick. But if you're sick, you need the medication that's in this concoction. And when you take it, it will cure your sickness. It will make you well. So in the same way, let's look at the ashes of the red heifer. An unclean person needs the ashes of the red heifer to be clean. They're spiritually sick, and they need the ashes of the red heifer to make them well. So they get sprinkled with the ashes of the red heifer. Boom, they're clean, they're well. Now, the person sprinkling this ashes on this unclean person is a well person, is a clean person. But them coming in contact with this spiritual medication, so to speak, that they don't need, makes them unclean. So there's the mystery, and hopefully that it doesn't fully explain everything, but hopefully this brings to light maybe one of the reasons why that there is such a mystery, and this is one of the explanations for that mystery. So just to remind you that this may not be a full explanation, but because a hukim is commands which defy logic, that only God himself can understand. We can only scratch the surface and comprehend it on a cursory level. Same with the issue of kashrut, kosher foods. We can't tell you exactly why God commanded these things, but we can speculate. We can speculate on the basis of science that pork and shellfish are not healthy. They're not good for us. And that's one of the reasons why God commanded us not to eat them. Is that the reason? No, I can't say that's the reason. I can't speak the mind of God. I don't know his reasonings. But scientifically, I can deduce that this is possibly one of the explanations why Adonai asks us to keep kosher, commands us, not asks us, but commands us to keep kosher. So in the same way, the ashes of the red heifer, it's a mystery, because Adonai prescribed this ritual and this concoction of the ashes of the red heifer to make an unclean person clean, but in the process of the person cleansing this unclean person, he himself becomes unclean and has to be cleansed, has to go through a certain ritual. So, like I said, just to recap, I liken it unto medication. A sick person needs medication to make them well. But if you're a healthy, well person taking medication, most likely it's going to make you sick. So that's one of the ways that we can look at the issue of the ashes of the red heifer and bring a possible explanation, possible solution to this mystery. There's a lot more questions that are asked, a lot more mysteries regarding the red heifer that I won't get into, but this is just one thing I wanted to touch on and share with you as this Torah portion is even upon us now. To hopefully this will give you more insight as you read Numbers chapter 19, and enjoy the Torah portion this week. And whenever you read regarding the ashes of the red heifer, and also there is a person supposedly that's trying to breed, and there's other people even in Israel that are trying to breed a red heifer, because the ashes of the red heifer are one of the requirements for the service of the third temple to be inaugurated and to be carried out and to be underway. So the lookout is for this red heifer that, according to the Talmud and rabbis and sages of blessed memory, peace be upon them, said that there cannot be two hairs of a different color on that red heifer. If there's 2 white hairs, it's not a true red heifer. So it's permitted to have maybe 1 white hair, but they prefer a perfectly red heifer that every single hair is red, and they have not been able to breed or come up with one yet. So the search is on. So it's speculated prophetically that once this red heifer is found, you can rightly guess, rightly deduce that the building of the third temple is close at hand, and Mashiach's return is near. So that's just another kind of thing I wanted to throw in there that maybe some of you did know, maybe some of you didn't know. But again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. Shalom and Shavua Tov. Bye-bye.